Hola, my loves. Hi, how are you, Saseni? I hope you guys mko salama. I am back again with another episode of Growth Reads with me, your girl Vicky. Now, Growth Reads with Vicky is a cozy space where I read self-help books and I come on here and I share with us all the lessons that we could take away in order to grow. I've been featuring the book The 11 Theory by Mel Robbins, an amazing book that I have really loved. And I've been trying to break it down chapter by chapter. And today's chapter is called Let Them Think Bad Thoughts About You. I know, interesting, right? But let me give you guys something. Did you know that when you allow your fear of what people are doing, saying, or thinking, stop you from doing what you want to do, you become a prisoner of their opinions? Yeah, so let's get into it. We all have those moments. I've had those moments. I think everyone goes through that phase in their lives, especially when you're trying to start something new, where you wonder, oh my God, what are they gonna say about me? Oh my God, what are they going to think about me? Oh my God, what are they going to think about my dress? What are they going to think about the way I spoke, the way I did what, blah 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 blah. So many moments, and when that happens, it holds us back. I'll give you a story, for example. Did you all know that I used to have a podcast on Spotify? It was audio only, but yeah, I had a podcast. It was called Raising a Sound Podcast. So when I started Raising a Sound Podcast, I was very excited of the things that I was going to share and do in the episode. And so I was like, yeah, I'm so excited. And so I started to do videos to promo the podcast. And one day a friend of mine comes and tells me, oh, by the way, my friend had another friend. They come and tell me, oh, by the way, my friend watched your video. It was just a small snippet of what I was doing to promo the main thing, and they had this and this and this advice, or they said they didn't like it because of this and this and this. And what they said, it was something about my dress code and how I had dressed, but it wasn't in a seemingly good way. It was in a way that kind of like feels like someone is, criticizing you or whatever. And so they were like, yeah, tell them to invest in clothes. Those are not good clothes to go on social media with, and tell people things. And I was like, oh wow, okay. And what I did is that I let that I held on to that, and it slowed me down and even affected my publishing of the rest of the episodes that I had for the podcast. And what happens is that we are paralyzed by fear, whether it's of perfection, whether it's of pleasing other people and all that, right? So like in that case, for me, I was paralyzed by the fact that they said that I didn't have very nice clothes and I need to invest in nicer clothes in order to come on there and do an episode or to do the podcast. So I was like, oh my God, okay, wow, way to go, way to say things to someone, right? But you see, I think one of the things we need to understand about our minds, and I think I've also shared in other episodes, but just to reiterate what I've shared, is that our minds like a false sense of control of control. So like, for example, if I'm going somewhere to speak, maybe to public speak, and I fear that I don't have the right clothes, maybe I don't have the right message, or for example, maybe I don't feel articulate enough, we can sabotage ourselves into saying, no, I'll wait until the day I am articulative enough, or until the day I have nicer clothes, or until the day I have peace, so that people don't say A, B, C, D about me. And so for me, in that case, that's what happened. I told myself that maybe what I should do is work, be able to get nicer clothes, nicer things, so that when I go on social media, I look all cute and good and expensive, just the narrative. And what I did is that I gave myself a false sense of control. Here's why. People are going to think bad thoughts about you. This is what I've seen in life. Whether you do good, whether you do bad, whether you dress nicely, whether you dress badly, there are people who are always going to think negative thoughts about you. Some of them out of sheer no harm, and some of them that just because they don't like you. For example, think about it yourself. Sometimes in your day, you see someone passing and you think, really, they had to wear that shoe with that dress? Maybe they should have changed the shoe. Or you're like, their hair is so bad, they need to go and change their hair. Those are bad thoughts about people because you're not in their shoes, you don't know half of them. But we end up tying ourselves down to those thoughts. So once you realize that, you know what, yeah, people will always have negative thoughts about me. Not all of them, some people will have negative thoughts about you, and there's nothing that you can do about it, because like I've said, our brains like a false sense of control. So what I tell my brain is that no, you're in control. It's not like you're not doing what you want to do, you're just, that you paralyze yourself with a false perfectionism of somewhere you're supposed to get or somewhere you're supposed to go. And so you end up telling yourself, you know what, maybe the day I buy nicer clothes, I really do the podcast, or maybe the day I feel like I'm articulate enough, I'll be able to go and speak in front of an audience. And ideally, perfection happens in the doing. There's nothing that happens without you doing. You have to take action first. You can dream about it, daydream, all that you want to do, all that you want, but ideally you will never perfect and improve anything unless you actually start doing it. So in my case, what I feel like I should have done is not given up on continuing to do my podcast and promo it, because then again I'd have learned so much already on this journey, and I'd have grown with it, because we paralyze ourselves with an idea of perfectionism. But what we're not doing, we're not reflecting inward to ask ourselves, when that person said I don't dress nicely, why did it affect me so much, right? And you have to pull yourself out of that and remind yourself that no, I'm not the clothes that I wear, and I still have purpose and impact that is rooted in me, regardless of the clothes that I wear. And I will grow into that instead of letting that hold you back. Because again, people will have bad thoughts about you. There's nothing that you can do. I was sharing with my friend yesterday, and I was telling them that, you know what? If someone has made up their mind to hate you and to hate what you do or to dislike it, there's nothing that you can do. I'm telling you, even if you do it and do it well, they still won't like it and they still won't appreciate it. And that's what I loved the most about this chapter, is that Mel wasn't afraid to tell us that. She broke it down and said that, yeah, people will always have bad thoughts about you, and vice versa. You'll always have some bad thoughts about some people. Sometimes even strangers, someone you saw on a bus or in a town, they did nothing to you. You don't know half their lives, but you're giving opinions on probably how they're dressed and what they could have done better. You see what I'm saying? So imagine that's why you can't let those things hold you back. And so you know what you're going to do? You're going to release the grip that their opinions has on you. You're going to say, you know what, let them say I don't have a nice shirt, let them say that I'm not articulate enough, let them say, because they will, regardless of whether they say it to your face or they're not. They're thinking it and they're telling people. Someone who has a bad opinion about you has it anyway. So what can you do about it? You're going to let them do that, and then you're going to focus on you. You're going to ask yourself, what can I do as an individual? What am I being called to do exactly? If I'm being called to continue my podcast journey, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be courageous enough, and I'm going to continue doing my podcast. Full stop. And I'm going to learn and grow and evolve with it, because then I wasn't even at a at a good place financially to be able to buy new clothes and new things in order to look a certain way. And of course, also, my worth is not determined by what I wear or how I look or what type of a car I drive or what type of a house I live in. Imagine, no, my worth and my impact is rooted deep down in whom I am, and that's what I need to keep reminding myself. So I don't know if you're out there and you've let other people's opinion hold you back, and you're using them as a roadmap for your life. A roadmap in that, imagine me, I said, no, I'm gonna stop doing the podcast until the day I dress better. So I'm using someone else's opinion as a roadmap to my life to help me get to where I want to get. And really, does that help anyone? No, it doesn't. But if I remind myself of my journey, my worth, my impact, my purpose that is rooted at the core of whom I am, then I am driven by that. Their opinions, their thoughts, their whatevers. I'm telling you today, you get married or don't get married, people will have an opinion. Have a child, don't have a child, people will have an opinion. They'll have an opinion about where your kids should go to school. They'll have an opinion about what kind of a house you live in, because they're just that. They're just opinions, and they're not imprinted on your forehead. I mean, for God's sake, today it's not written on my forehead that you didn't own a nice shirt back then. It's not. It's not. And having to go back and be rooted in my purpose has helped me grow as an individual. And now I don't let other people's opinions impact me as much. And if I feel a certain way after someone has said something, it's usually a call for me to look inward and to ask myself, I wonder why that affected me so much. Do I think there's a truth to it? And what can I do about it? Do I think that they said I'm not really eloquent and it only affects you if you believe it? So if you say that, yeah, maybe I'm not that eloquent, then what is that telling you? Maybe it's an invitation for you to work on that. You never know, to become better. And sometimes you'll find that it doesn't even affect you or that much, because again, people will have bad thoughts about you. So anyway, if you remember anything from me today and from this episode, is that let people have bad thoughts about you. Let people have bad opinions about you. You are not their thoughts and you're not their opinions, and they should not hold you back from doing what you want to do. And then you can't use those opinions as thoughts as roadmaps to your life. Remember who you are, remember your purpose, and be grounded in that. Let that be your guiding force in this life. Anyway, until next time, keep it growth, and I'll be back with another tip from The Leather Theory by Mel Robbins. Bye.